Types of contract on the basis of validity: valid contract, void contract, voidable contract, illegal contract, and unenforced contract. Types of contract on the basis of formation: express contract, implied contract, and quasi-contract. Types of contract on the basis of performance: executed contract, executory contract, unilateral contract, and bilateral contract. Now the first one, valid contract. An agreement which has all the essential elements of a contract. A valid contract can be enforceable by law. Void contract. Section 2J states as follows: a contract which ceases to be enforceable by law becomes void when it is ceased to be enforceable. Thus, a void contract is one which cannot be enforced by a court of law. For example, agreement without consideration. Now, the third one is voidable contract. Section 2I defines that an agreement which is enforceable by law at the option of one or more parties but not at the option of the other or others is a voidable contract. Thus, a voidable contract is one which could be avoided by one of the parties to the contract at his option. If such a party does not avoid the contract remains valid, but if it prefers to avoid the contract, then the contract becomes void. For example, when the consent of a party to a contract has been obtained by coercion, undue influence, the contract is voidable at the option of the party whose consent has been so obtained. Illegal contract. Illegal contract are those that are forbidden by the law. All illegal contracts are hence void also. Because of the illegality of the nature, they cannot be enforced by any court of law. In fact, even associated contracts cannot be enforced. Contracts which are opposed to public policy or immoral are illegal. Similarly, contracts to commit crime like supari contracts are illegal contracts. Further classification of contract according to the formation is also possible. Express contract. A contract would be an express contract if the terms are expressed by words or in writing. Section 9 of the Act provides that if a proposal or acceptance of any promise is made in words, the promise is said to be expressed. Implied contracts. Implied contract in contracts comes into existence by implication. Most often, the implication is by law or by action. Section 9 of the Act contemplates such implied contracts. In contracts where proposal or acceptance is made otherwise than in words, the promise is said to be implied. Further classification of contract is possible on the basis of the performance. They are executed contract. The consideration in a given contract could be an act or forbearance. When the act is done or executed, or the forbearance is brought on record, then the contract is an executed contract. Executory contract. In an executory contract, the consideration is reciprocal promise or obligation. Such consideration is to be performed in future only, and therefore these contracts are described as executory contracts. Unilateral contract. Unilateral contract is one-sided contract in which only one party has to perform his duty or obligation. Bilateral contract. A bilateral contract is one where the obligation or promise is outstanding on the part of both the parties.